Hey guys, welcome back to the second time lucky mining channel. Today I'm gonna have a look at one of the questions that I had recently, and I'm sure a lot of people have the same question. We're gonna have a look at what is the best miner for my graphics card. To answer that question, I'm gonna give the typical IT answer. It really depends, and it depends on a couple of things. First off, what graphics card do you have? What operating system are you running? What coin are you going to mine? What pool do you want to mine to? Within a specific graphics card, do you have a gimped graphics card or LHR graphics card? Do you have a Vega graphics card, a Radeon 7 graphics card? All of these different questions will derive what miner you should be using. I'm looking to answer the more specific question to my scenario and potentially more miners out there around which is the best miner for a Radeon RX 6800 XT. If you're not using this specific card, hopefully the tools and processes that I'll show in this video will still help you to determine which is the best miner for your specific graphics card. Before we jump straight into evaluating miners, we need to ask ourselves which coin are we going to mine. And at this moment, there's nothing more profitable than Ethereum, unless you're speculating with some of the other coins. But we are going to look at specifically Ethereum mining. Ultimately, to make a decision on a miner, I would typically use three sources of information to help me make that decision. The first one being HiveOS Statistics, because if everybody is using it, it must be good, right? The second one is YouTube videos. In that space, I'd like to call out Crypto Donkey. He does some amazing testing on LHR NVIDIA cards. So I'd highly recommend you checking out his channel. And I'll leave a link to his channel in the description. And the third one, my own testing. I don't trust anybody else unless, I've tested it for myself and I know this miner is best for me. And I'll take you through that testing and I'll share all of my results. Okay, so let's jump into the first source, which is HiveOS. If you go to the website hiveos.farm/statistics, it will take you to this HiveOS statistics page. I'm not exactly sure how frequently it's updated, but if anybody knows, please specify in the comments or let me know. But for me, it's very helpful to get a gauge on what is the most popular coins, algorithms, which specific make and model graphics cards people are using, and then on today's topic, which is the popular miners people are using. And to make that decision, or to help us make that decision, it's also important to have a look at the GPU brand. So what is the percentage of NVIDIA graphics cards versus AMD graphics cards? So if you have a look at the miners, the Phoenix miner is the top, T-Rex next, NB miner, Team Red miner, G miner, and then there's an ASIC miner here as well. Unfortunately, HiveOS doesn't really provide us a little bit more deeper information, because if I ask the question, what is the most popular miner used for AMD graphics cards, I couldn't derive that exactly here. But specifically for my question, what is the best miner for my 6800 XT, I will need to go and have a look at these different miners. And this list of the most popular miners is what I'm going to use to derive what miners am I going to test against each other with my specific card. Looking at this list from HiveOS, I definitely know which is the most popular miners people are using, so these miners must be good, but I still don't know which is the best miner for my 6800 XT. And in the mining space, it's all about being efficient, either being it tweaking your graphics card with overclocks to use the least amount of energy but have the highest output, and in this case I'm looking for the miner that can provide me the best hashes at the lowest energy with the least rejected share. So that's what I'm specifically looking for. Now, looking at this list, what am I going to test today? I'm going to test 6 miners. From the top, Phoenix miner, NB miner, Team Red miner, G miner, LOL miner, and Team Black miner. Those are the 6 miners I am planning to test. I did have a crack at Ether miner as well, but for some reason it didn't work. So let's have a look at that. If you're new in the space and you're probably wondering why am I not testing T-Rex miner or ASIC miner or XMR rig, not all of the miners support all of the graphics cards. So some of these miners I'm specifically leaving out because they are not supported with AMD graphics cards. So that's why, for example, I'm not using T-Rex miner. Now let's jump into how am I going to test and with what am I going to test. Okay, now that we know which miners I'm going to test, let's talk about the methodology of my testing. So let me jump into HiveOS to explain that a little bit further. For the methodology, I'm going to try and keep it simple. Basically, the only thing that I'm going to be changing is the actual miner. But what does that actually mean? The way that I'm going to explain it is in two separate buckets, a hardware bucket and a software bucket. So let's first have a look at the hardware. Okay, so to explain the hardware used for testing, let me jump into HiveOS. As you can see here, I'm rocking two RX 6800 XTs, both of them from Power Color. The one is a Red Dragon, the other one is a Red Devil. Also, I've set the overclocks exactly the same between the two cards, and for me, these overclocks has been stable. This mining rig is on an ASRock motherboard that spots a i3 10100. I've also got 8 gigs of RAM. So on the software side, most of the information used for testing sits in the flight sheet. So if I just jump to flight sheets, just pick one of them here. As you can see, there's lots of different flight sheets. I just go and edit any one of them. I've kept the coin exactly the same. My wallet address is the NiceHash wallet. The pool, I've configured to only one pool, all of them being the same. The only thing that I've swapped out is obviously the miner. What I've also done is I've made sure that HiveOS is updated and they have all of the latest miners. Just a disclaimer on the software side, this is not a promotion for NiceHash, nor am I sponsored by them. I'm just using this wallet and their pool to test the various different miners against each other. I've done similar testing and you can do exactly the same with a different wallet and a different pool. As you can see here, I've used my BlockFi wallet with Ether pool, testing TeamRed miner. Enough talking about the hardware, software, and the methodology. Let's just jump straight into the results. I've created a Google Sheet with all of my testing and results that I will continue to update in the future. I'll also share a link in the video description so that you guys can have a look yourself and look at it as I update it in the future. Looking at the middle of the info sheet, I've got the links of the miners that I've used for testing, their official site and the GitHub. That's pretty useful because you'll find out most of the information around what has changed, what is new releases, logging bugs that you've experienced, those type of things you will find in here. A typical example, let me just pick up Gminer. I'll click on the link, go to the GitHub. That'll open up all of that information. What is the features that the miner has got? If I go to release, the section here on the right hand side, you'll be able to see what is the new release, what have they changed. In this case, they're running a competition at the moment, which is pretty cool. One of the other useful things that you can use this for is there's this issue section here where you can log a bug if need be. And similarly, if you're experiencing issues, you can potentially see if somebody else is experiencing the same thing. So it's pretty useful. If I go back to the sheet, I've also got the HiveOS stats, as I explained a little bit earlier, and some Ethereum stats also. The last section of the info field is notes, and this is more of a disclaimer. So it's important to note that you will see fees in the next sheets. And those fees are dependent on the graphics card that I tested and the miner that I used. Unfortunately, some of these miners charge different rates depending on what graphics card you use. So it's important to link the graphics card to the miner. And then as a result, you would know what the fees would be. The other thing to take into consideration is not all graphics cards are the same. You know, even though it's the same model, they behave slightly differently towards overclocks. So, you know, the settings that I get, even between two of the exact same cards, they will not be the same. So just take note of that. The other thing that you need to have a look at is when we look at the results, I didn't just run these results on a 15-minute or 5 minutes or anything like that. So all of these results is based on at least an hour, some way more than that. Okay, let's jump in the 6800 XT sheet. So this is what it looks like. On the left hand side, I've got my stable overclocks. I will work in the next couple of weeks to work out what is efficient and aggressive around the cards that I have. As you can see here, I've got three cards. As I mentioned earlier, I've got 2 Red Devils, Power Color, and 1 Red Dragon. On the right hand side, I'm recording the exact date that I did the benchmarks, what were the miners that I tested, what is the version for them, and then what is the fees. So this is the important piece. So you can see I've got a little asterisk here at the top. So that relates to the information that I have here at the bottom. So you can see here very clearly the fees that is in the sheet is specific to the RX 6800 XT. So it's important to note. So if you've got a different graphics card, the fees may vary. The other thing that's important here is the fees for Phoenix Miner is also if you are not dual mining. So you can dual mine with Phoenix Miner, so and then the fees will go up. But the fees that I've got here is only to compare apples with apples. So if I'm mining Ethereum only across the various different miners, because not all the miners supports the dual mining capability. Looking at the fees, we can clearly see that Team Black Miner is the cheapest with 0.5%. Second and third is tied between G Miner and Phoenix Miner. But probably the most important thing is the average hashes. And it's clear here that Team Black Miner scored the highest with 63.67, followed closely, which isn't a surprise, with Phoenix Miner at 62.5 and then G Miner at 62.2. So it's quite interesting that Team Black Miner, who is the least popular, scored the highest hashes. However, Phoenix Miner doesn't surprise me at all that it is the most popular miner, seeing that it's relatively cheap if you don't dual mine, and you still get decent hash rates. The next information in my sheet relates to the wattage and the accepted ratios. Personally, I wouldn't put a lot of weight into the wattage because the software readings that we get from HiveOS is probably not 100% correct, or I know for a fact it's not correct. We probably need some of those Elmar Lab devices to have an accurate view. But what is important for me is the accept ratio. So, you know, the amount of stale shares that you do receive. So it's important to have a close look at that. The other thing that is in the sheet, for those who want to go and audit the results, I captured all of the screenshots for the various different miners around the HiveOS snapshot, around what was the hashes that I got and how I calculate the average, and then the actual miner as well. So you are more than welcome to go and have a look. Okay guys, so there you have it. Based on my testing using my graphics cards, my overclocks, I can clearly see that I got the highest hash rate at the lowest miner fees from Team Black Miner. I guess I have to put my money where my mouth is, so I've already changed my miner to Team Black Miner, so I'll have a good look and see on a long-term perspective, do I have any crashes or anything like that. But I'm pretty sure it should be fine, but I'm keen to test that out fully. But I'd love to hear from you. What miner are you using? Why are you using that miner? So if you can please let me know in the comments, and then hopefully in the future I'll get around to testing all of these other cards. I've got a 6800 in the mail. I've got an A4000 that I just need to plug in and test as well. So thanks for watching. Catch you next time. Cheers.